I'm Mark Thompson with Time Magazine. We're at the Pentagon today to talk to the only two women ever to hold the rank of 4-star officers in the U.S. military. They are General Ann Dunwoody of the U.S. Army and General Janet Wolfenbarger of the U.S. Air Force. And is this the first time you've met?
It is. It is.
Is it sort of like looking into a mirror?
It is
seeing
exciting.
Those stars on...
You know, you see the caliber, and I know why she was promoted, just having this opportunity to chit-chat with you.
But people don't understand in the civilian world the importance of 4 stars. But when you walk around this building among other military people, isn't that true that a layperson might think, you know, okay, an officer is an officer. But when you're in the military culture, you know, it's really hierarchical and it's really a pyramid. And you guys are that little stone right at the tippity top.
Diamond.
Diamond. A girl's best friend. Can you tell us a little story about yourself when you realized you had become a role model?
I avoided early in my career any opportunity to go to, for instance, a women's leadership symposium. I have now since had the opportunity to attend some women's leadership symposiums as the senior ranking woman in the Air Force. And the generations that have followed us, they are hungry to be able to interact with the people that came before, to understand what works and what doesn't, and how did you find that life balance. And I've come to appreciate that I do have a responsibility to give back, to represent my service so that we can showcase that the Air Force, in fact, has embraced diversity, that there are paths in which women and others of diverse backgrounds can aspire to reach the pinnacles.
Do people assume things about you? Do males assume things about you that you sort of have to show? You know, some folks say, you know, I have to try harder because I'm this or because I'm that. Has the military moved beyond that and that's not so true anymore? Or is there still an element of sexism or chauvinism remaining?
Gender matters, yes. And I think we've come such a long way. When I joined the Army in 1975, we still had the Women's Army Corps.
To which you
were part of.
Enlisted or were commissioned in.
That's correct. But that disbanded right after, you know, within the year, and then we started the integration of women into the Army. And like everything, it's an evolution. And you look around in all the fields and you see women excelling. I think when we entered and we started that, it wasn't a popular decision like many decisions that are made at a time, but women demonstrated and showed that they could perform equally and you know, carry the same rucksack as their male counterparts in many of these assignments.
Now, both of you run massive organizations, one charged with outfitting and equipping our soldiers, one charged with outfitting and equipping our airmen and women. It's sort of coincidental, I guess, that the 2 female 4-stars we have are both running acquisition shops. And obviously, in some ways, that you can argue that that's because women haven't been allowed in combat to the degree their male colleagues have been.
Well, I think there's some misperceptions about where women are on the battlefield, and we've had over 250,000 deployed, 44 given their ultimate sacrifice. So the perception that women aren't out there on the battlefield and aren't allowed to deploy in their current occupations, they are contributing in a huge way and they're performing in magnificent ways.
The latest issue of the Atlantic magazine has Anne Marie Slaughter's article called Why Women Still Can't Have It All. And she is still saying there's a fundamental imbalance in the American family, and you know, it just falls on women to do more, and they can't be as liberated in their careers as their husbands or men are in general. What do you think of that line of talk?
There was a point in time when my husband was still in active service. He was stationed separate from me and our 2-year-old daughter at the time. So I got to experience what it was like for a small period of time. It was about 2.5 years of being a single mom in a very responsible job. And I came to appreciate how very, very difficult that can be for some of our young airmen, some of the young troops who do that day in, day out. But I maintain that it is all possible. It is all about finding that right balance. And in the end, I like to think that our careers will be over and we will have left our family, our friends, and our health. And it's important to find that balance early in your life so that you have those things that you need for support as you move on in your career.
How long before there's going to be a woman on the Joint Chiefs?
I couldn't give you a date, but I'm confident one day there will be.
Me too. And I would have the exact same answer. Don't have a crystal ball good enough to know a date.
I mean, it's funny because when you think back, and if you'd asked someone 20 years ago, when will there be a female 4-star, they might have said the same thing. But in reality, it happened pretty quick.
It did.
I mean, do you folks get the sense that, as the Navy likes to say, we're moving here with all deliberate speed? It could have been a little faster, it could have been a little slower, but this might be around the sweet spot in terms of the way women are advancing through the ranks. Or do you think it should even be faster?
When I came in, and this would be true when you were there as well, then there was still an executive order on the books that if a woman became pregnant, she could be separated from service. And so just think, in my lifetime, we have come from that point to where we are today, where we have 2 women 4-stars in our services. So I think I'm satisfied with the pace. I think you could always argue that things can happen a little quicker, but I think we've made great progress in my lifetime.
You've been most gracious to chat with us and share these stories, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much for chatting with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.